Hi, everyone. I'm jumping on today to briefly discuss one of the experiences that I've had that's been building up and kind of created this container for me to begin to learn from the universe with. Over the last few days, I've come into contact with hundreds of people, and I've had a lot of discussions with different people. And I encountered this woman who brought this subject forward, and I believe she's the only person that I've discussed this with that has brought this information forward to me. I've never really shared it publicly um, because it's quite personal in the sense where we all develop our relationship to the divine, to the universe, in a unique fashion. That's the inner path, right? The mystical path where we're learning from the universe. And it comes in many different shapes and forms for everybody. Um, but we can develop different lenses of perception through which to begin to learn from the universe. And, if you adopt different traditions and different belief systems, you'll begin to understand that, the routines and rituals that are associated with them, that you begin to interact with, do begin to create and shape your reality, your life. And so I believe this is why, we're at a point where everyone is really analyzing and picking apart and observing, different belief systems, right, from across the world, like all these different factions of people coming, interacting with reality in different ways and observing how that produces different results. And, and this is the global, the World Wide Web, bringing all that together has really brought a lot of conversation forward. But people are coming from different belief systems. And I think one of the, you know, I have, I've looked into different religions. I've never been religious, so to speak. I've been more of a philosophical person and just observing nature and, trying to develop that direct gnosis with the universe. The cosmic laws in particular have played a big role for me when I read up on them, and I learned about them. I was like, these make sense. These are, sort of these natural laws that I've been observing, but they are a lens of perception through which to see reality from. I think the information that I'm bringing forward today is mostly based on the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, but they're all involved in this process of learning from the universe. And it's quite simple. It is the lens of experiencing that from the universe, that whatever we, as we move through life, we are learning, right? We are making mistakes. We're making small mistakes. We're making big mistakes. And the goal is to keep on up leveling and learning from those to then create greater results and to develop, personally develop, spiritually develop, so that we can, evolve basically and come into a fuller experience of life. And so, how this has been showing up is that the universe gives us the opportunity to learn by presenting to us the exact same situations that we've been in, that we have made decisions in, that might have impacted ourselves and other people. It'll bring up the exact opposite situation for us to learn from. So, for example, if you take an action and there's a certain result, sometime later, it could be not too long after or a couple years later, you are presented with the exact same situation, but you are now in the opposite, at the opposite end. the receiving end of that decision made by another person or just the circumstances. And so there's this kind of a natural process that takes place with the universe. If you could tune into it, where it's like we are being shown, right? Every single position, if you have 10 people on the board and all those 10 people are making different decisions that are affecting the shared reality, co-creating that shared reality. If you develop the lens for it, you can see that over time you will be placed in each of those 10 people's positions at one point or another to a certain degree. And you will be able to learn from each of those positions. And I thought this was really fascinating because it doesn't involve any external authority. It really is coming in directly from the universe, and the teachings have so much depth to them because the sight involved in seeing this these cosmic laws at play can only be seen through that individual. Only you know what situation you've been in, and when you're now being placed in a position where you're on the receiving end and the opposite side of that decision. And so I've been keenly observing this, and it's really, really helped me to develop, I think, much more compassion with people in the world. A certain amount of discernment versus like dogmatic judgment, or these judgments that we can have that are simply based on conditioning. Because the universe will directly show me, okay, you're judging this person for this, which is really based on some form of, conditioning or personality complex. I'm going to bring you over here to the opposite end, and now you're going to experience that same thing from someone else in a different circumstance. And so there's no way of denying when the universe teaches you directly like that. There's no way of denying what is being shown, right? It comes in as a direct lesson, and it's direct gnosis. It's a direct lesson to being able to, I think, expand the mind and see how grand, right, this life experience is, in the sense that we can get so deep into our own subjective realities and really feel like we're surrounded by a lot of illusion and delusion with certain things, and the universe will come in and then bring that teaching forward by placing you in the opposite role that you were in. And it just, it expands the mind because you can see yourself move, right? Like from the, the one making the decision to the one receiving the decision, and so on and so forth. So it just continuously expands you. But I think we have to have the eyes for it. Like we have to be open and willing to learn from the universe, and really allow ourselves to start just observing the bigger picture and how events and circumstances tie into our own personal evolution and development, over time. And how if we develop that lens of perception, we will be given greater and greater information to inform us on how to make decisions and how to move in the world, because we are open to learning from these cosmic laws at play. So this is kind of a short message. That's all I wanted to bring forward, I think. But it's really, I think, just putting it out there, will allow people, whatever listeners tune in, to just start observing things in that way. And for me, that is the path of direct gnosis, right? That is the path of when we say connecting with the divine or connecting with spirit. That's what learning directly from the universe is about. And it's not something that can be taught by someone else, because if you have some external authority trying to tell you that you're making a wrong decision, or trying to inform you on like a different way of doing things, and perceiving your circumstances, there's always a bit of resistance. But when the universe brings that information forward, it is just this, it's a direct knowing. It's a aha moment. It comes in, and it's like, it's like a Uranus energy. It's a flash of lightning. You just, all of a sudden, everything clicks into place, and you understand, right? The exact experience that, other people around you were having. For example, when you made that decision, because you are now on the receiving end of it. And so as the wheel has turned over time, it's like, I've been clicking into place with, all of these different positions to provide me with the knowledge of what that lesson was, right? From all these different perspectives. And it's just, it comes in, there's no resistance to it. It's like, okay, thank you, universe. I've just got the answer. And then that's a test as well, because then, once you're given more information about any given kind of initiation or test that we can go through where we have to make a decision, that becomes a test in itself to then act accordingly, right? If you're shown what it's like to be on the opposite end or the receiving end of certain information, of certain circumstances, you have then the knowledge, right, of being on two sides of it, right? And then if you're shown 3, 4, 5, you're put in all these positions to see all these different sides of something. The test becomes to continuously up level and to take all of that into consideration as you move forward, and continue to take action in the world and make decisions. Use all of that information to inform you on making better and better and better decisions. So I don't know if there's other people out there. I'm sure there's plenty, but this woman coming forward with this information, and she was really the only person that has ever spoken to me about this, really just inspired me to come on and share this information with anybody tuning in that might want to begin observing how the universe teaches us by using these different laws, and placing us in these different positions, and the direct gnosis of it, and just the extraordinary gift of having the sight to be able to experience life in this way. I think anyone can adopt it like a belief system, because if your reticular activating system is connecting, wants to learn from the universe and wants to start picking up on that information, I believe you can, and you will find yourself in these situations where you're constantly being taught from all ends, every single perspective of any decision or action, or stance in the world that we can take, and it's always based on, influenced by different things, but at the core, the lesson is going to be the same. So that's it. I hope that it's helped someone today, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful week. All right, you can reach me at inspiringplayfulevolution.com. Take care.